Okay. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate the turnout. I guess everybody's well aware there's been pretty much of a gag order in this because it's a very sensitive subject. Okay. Grab that out there, will you, Nick?
Good.
That better? Whoa. Okay. As I said, I thank you all for coming. It's a very sensitive subject. That's why the gag order. That's why what's it all about. We really weren't at liberty to talk to anybody about this because we didn't want information getting out and causing any public concern or anything like that with it. So, and due to the sensitive nature of what we're going to talk about, I'm going to read from basically a prepared statement. There'll be copies available. There'll be fact sheets available and everything after this is over. So I'm going to start with, I have a very important message to share with the residents of St. Charles. This is about our wellhead district from which we draw our drinking water. First and most importantly, let me assure you that our drinking water is and has been safe to drink and use. As you may recall, my campaign slogan for mayor was the management axiom: you need to inspect what you expect, and you can't manage what you don't measure. In light of that, and as a result of our ongoing monitoring, measuring, and inspections, my staff has discovered an escalating situation in our city wellhead district. The findings are alarming, and I'm concerned that our long-term viability to be able to provide safe drinking water to our citizens is at risk. The city's been working diligently on a situation affecting our wellfield. The Elm Point wellfield serves as the primary drinking water supply of the city of St. Charles. Ameren, Missouri, is responsible for releasing chemicals onto the ground in the wellhead district, threatening the city of St. Charles water supply. Ameren's transformer substation is located within the Elm Point wellfield, and Ameren has dumped chemicals that are contaminating portions of the city's water supply. Due to the presence of these harmful chemicals, and as a preventive measure, we have shut down 4 of our 7 water wells. We have continued to bring this to the attention of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the U.S. EPA, and Missouri DNR, MDNR, and are not getting the assistance we need. We are also concerned that contamination is progressing toward even more of our wells. Shutting down these wells provides a temporary solution to the problem. However, a long-term solution is absolutely necessary. Again, our drinking water is safe. But as I mentioned earlier, I'm concerned about our long-term ability to continue to provide safe drinking water. In the face of these threats, the city of St. Charles has committed significant resources and monies to ensure that you have safe drinking water. The city has been seeking oversight, enforcement, and remedy of this situation from the EPA Region 7, MNDR, and Ameren, as I mentioned before, to no success. The city's been asking for action that includes the immediate construction of a new treatment system within our existing plant to remove harmful chemicals from the groundwater, and then relocation of the city's drinking water wells to an area free from the threat of further contamination. Again, remember, the most important safety message today: our drinking water in St. Charles is safe. It is safe for consumption and use, and we will continue to take all necessary steps to ensure it's safe in the future. Our water plant processes about 6 million gallons a day. During peak summer hour usage, we, along with the city of St. Peter's, often buy additional water from the city of St. Louis. However, the impact of shutting down several of our wells, and possibly more, is that we will now have to purchase even more water from the city of St. Louis in order to meet our drinking water demands. The city of St. Louis has already been, the city of St. Charles has already been forced to purchase about $2 million of additional water from the city of St. Louis over the past 5+ years. This is a great cost to you and the city. It's not fair that you should have to bear the additional costs caused by others. Let me repeat that. It is not fair or right that you should have to bear the additional costs caused by others. No solutions have been offered by the EPA Region 7, Missouri Department of Natural Resources, or the responsible parties, including Ameren. This is what you need to know. There is currently a consent agreement filed by Region 7 of the EPA that has a quickly approaching deadline for public comment. I am not sure the public even knows this. As the mayor of the city of St. Charles, I am here today to let you know. This consent decree outlines Ameren's legal responsibilities and or lack thereof for cleaning up their portion of contamination in the Elm Point well field, which needs to include upgrading our treatment plant and relocating the city wells to another location. I am concerned with the proposed consent decree, and I've insisted that the EPA extend the current public comment period and provide at least 2 meetings to inform and educate the public with what is being proposed. My concern, once the consent decree is finalized, it is very difficult to change Ameren's legal requirements for remediating the contamination and protecting the city's water supply. Thus, the urgent nature and importance of this public comment and informational meetings. We need to ensure that they hear your voice. We have also contacted our elected representatives for assistance. They have been very helpful and have reached out to the U.S. EPA on our behalf. I want to thank Senators Blunt, Hawley, Congresswoman Wagner, and Congressman Luetkemeyer, and Lieutenant Governor Keel for using the power of their influence to help us get the necessary attention to our situation. As of today, we don't have it in writing, but have been told that there will be a 30-day extension to the public comment period. We've requested even more time. As soon as we learn of any updates regarding public meetings that we have asked for, comment period extensions, or any additional actions, we'll communicate this information through our website, social media accounts, and our weekly electronic newsletter. You will be receiving a mailer from us, the public will, in the next day or 2 with more information and ways to reach out. In addition, the city's website, stcharlescitymo.gov, has more details and contact information from all of our residents. I encourage you to go there and gather more information and then respond. This is an all-hands-on-deck situation and moment. As your mayor, I need every one of you to join me in getting engaged in this process and letting your comments and questions be heard. We must get our voices out here. Before closing, I want to once again strongly assure you that your drinking water in St. Charles is safe to drink. The city staff is monitoring the situation and working with experts in this field. We've heard one of the considerations is there's not been enough outcry. There's not been enough public comment to be of concern. We need everybody to be concerned. We need everybody to reach out and send forms, and form letters will be available to the EPA and the other resources to tell them that we must get this under control. Hopefully with your strong public response, participation, and support, we'll be given the oversight and solutions to remedy this situation and ensure the safety of our drinking water for decades to come. Please get involved. This is our drinking water. I have 2 people up here with me, the Director of Public Works and Paul from 212, which is our consulting firm on this. We'll take questions for a while, hopefully give you more information. And there will be information available on the city website, and I believe there's information available today to you before you leave. Thank you.
I have a question. This has been going on for years. It's been known about contamination in the cities. Known about it.
Correct.
It's been publicized. It's been, I mean, maybe not enough, but what's happened besides some recent tests? What did the test show?
Okay, that's Mr. Mark Schlinkman from the Post-Dispatch, correct? This problem goes all the way back to like 1976, but from the charts that I've seen, and I'll defer to Nick on this. He's got the schedule on what's happened and when. It's been going on for a period of time, but it's been addressed all along. But recently, it's exacerbated itself to higher levels. So.
Yeah, I'm Nick Gallo. I'm the Director of Public Works for the City of St. Charles. There is quite a bit of history here at this location. What's changed recently is we've had to shut down more wells. So previous to this year, we had 2 of our wells shut off. Whenever there's contamination detected nearby, we turn that water off so that the effluent coming out of our treatment plant has been safe and is safe for people to consume.
And those wells were shut down how long?
So the first well was shut off in 2005. The next well was shut off in 2011, and then this year we've had to shut down 2 more.
How many do you have left?
So we have 3 left. So we have a total of 7. 4 of them have been shut down to date. 2 of them have been shut down this year. So the contamination that we're seeing is beginning to migrate and move to other wells that are further away from the contamination source, and that we're having to shut down more and more wells.
So what has Ameren agreed to do in the consent agreement that you're concerned about?
So the legal responsibilities for Ameren in the consent decree currently have them monitoring the situation. What we are really asking for is for them to upgrade our treatment plant, to treat any contaminants that come through. We can turn our wells back on, have a process that removes those contaminants from those wells while we work on a permanent solution to relocate that well field that's free of the contamination site. That's what we're pointing.
Correct me, remember, how far is your treatment plant from their substation?
It is, the treatment plant itself is upstream several hundred feet away. But
On the Missouri River, I presume?
we're on the Mississippi River.
Mississippi, excuse me.
Correct.
How much would it cost? Is it an estimate on how much it would cost to do what the city wants Ameren to do?
Relocating the well field, we are estimating about $40 million to relocate.
And what about the treatment plant situation?
The upgrades could be between $10 and $20 million.
We're talking up to $60 million total.
Correct.
And Ameren has just said no.
Ameren is following the rules that the EPA has lined out in front of them, which is the importance of wanting to get the public comments and the public engaged in this project to make sure that the legal responsibilities that are outlined in that consent decree allow us to ensure safe water both now and in the future.
Does Ameren and EPA and our DNR agree with the city's view that the wells
Wanna pass that on?
need to be moved, A, and B, the plant needs to be upgraded, or is this a point of contention?
I don't necessarily need the mic.
Yes,
So,
you do. No.
Okay. I think we'll just take it out. So my name is Paul Mikulski. I'm a 212 Environmental consultant on this project for the city of St. Charles. So we cannot speak exactly as to the statements and positions of the US EPA, the Missouri DNR, or Ameren, but we can say to date they have not satisfied requests that have been made from the city of St. Charles to relocate the wells and or to improve the water treatment plant.
If Ameren doesn't agree to this, or if you don't get federal or state aid, can the city afford the $60 million?
You want that?
Sure. Yeah, we would have to pass these costs on to our ratepayers, to our customers. So it's something that we don't feel, like the mayor mentioned in his message, that should be a burden placed upon our customers.
Do we be talking basically about like water system rate increases?
Correct.
Beyond what you'd otherwise pay?
Correct.
But any estimate on how much?
It depends on how quickly we need to get it implemented and how far we can get loans or other financing in place.
Financing and all that.
Mhm.
Yes.
And Mr. Allen, you said Nick, A-L-L-E-N, is that right?
Yeah.
Gallon.
Oh, I didn't.
Gallon.
Gallon.
And technically, we're already being penalized. We're already buying water from St. Louis. Every well we shut down is going to exacerbate that situation, where we'll have to buy even more, and God forbid, long runs, we may have to buy all of our water from another source. And then you get into the problem of how much water is available from where to meet our demands. So it's a fairly complicated process that we think can be resolved with the cooperation of the EPA and MNDR and Ameren. If they take those steps, we believe that we will be, correct me if I'm wrong, we will have sufficient capacity in our wells to meet all of our demand except peak period.
The last time, I believe, our paper wrote about this was about 7 years ago, and at that time, about 40% of the city's water was coming from St. Louis, the plants, et cetera, and 60% from the wells. So what is the percentage now?
So we have the ability to produce up to 6 million gallons a day at our water treatment plant. It is cheaper for us to produce our water than it is to purchase the water. So we try to maximize that water treatment plant as much as possible. Right now, we're almost at half capacity with the wells that we've had to shut down. In the winter months, our demands are lower to where we're able to run almost all of our demand through our water treatment plant. And in the summer months, when there's a higher water usage, we can supplement that with the water that we purchase from the city of St. Louis.
So what's the percent, prior to the shutdown of the recent shutdown, well, what was the percentage?
So we would like to be able to provide at least 60% of our water from the city of St. Charles treatment plant and purchase 40%.
And that's what it was before you had the shutdown of the recent,
Correct.
the recent shutdown of the wells. And right now, what's the percentage?
We are less than half, so we're probably closer to the 40% that we're able to provide to the constituents, and 60% from the purchased water from the city of St. Louis.
Just to clarify, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't St. Louis water come from the Missouri River? They have a plant.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. Yes, the Howard Bend. Yes, the Howard Bend treatment plant.
I think part of the situation is, this situation, you're right, has been going on for a while. It has increased dramatically. We have statistics to show what the new findings and measurements are. It can't continue at this level, and we're just asking for the oversight that's supposed to be there and the enforcement that's supposed to be there. And we feel that those other organizations have not done their due diligence and provided the kind of protection that our citizens need. I want to stress again that our drinking water is safe. It has been safe. It'll continue to be safe. And just for point of clarification from a layman's standpoint, the well field is what's contaminated, not the drinking water. So when the water comes out of the wellhead district and goes to the processing plant, it contains some level of contaminants, and that varies from well to well. Once it gets to the treatment plant, we're able to take all those carcinogens and those problem chemicals out, but it's a much increased expense. Is that right? Or not?
Yeah, really our primary treatment is to shut off those wells before it gets to our treatment plant. Our processes are not in place to take the level of contaminants that's there. We do treat a portion of this water. We have been able to keep the water safe, but our primary defense is to shut those wells off so that the contaminants do not get into our treatment process.
When were your most recent readings you're talking about that are so concerning? When were they taken?
At the end of last year, in December of 2021, we started to see elevated levels closer to our city well 6. So in January of this year, in 2022, we shut off city well 6. And then since then, we've seen some migrations towards our city well number 8. There have been there's a monitoring well nearby that shows some elevated levels of contaminants in the monitoring well, and we were able to shut off city well 8. So we've had to shut off, and that was in September.
What response do you get from regulatory agencies? What do they say?
So the legal responsibilities that they put into the consent decree was based on information that was older prior to June of 2021. So that data at that time had lower levels than it does today. So the legal responsibilities that were put in place for that consent decree have changed since the time they put that executive consent decree order in place.
What do they say?
So right now they have not been able to change or been willing to change their legal responsibilities within the consent decree. This is part.
EPA and Ameren?
Correct. The EPA has not changed any legal responsibilities with the new data that's been presented and collected by them. Yeah, let Paul.
So the nature of the contaminants are from solvents that were used to clean the equipment inside the Ameren substation that date back many, many decades ago. So they're chlorinated solvents. The original contaminants of concern were tetrachloroethylene, and then they used a process within the substation to degrade the tetrachloroethylene in soil and groundwater. And in doing so, they generated 2 contaminants that we're concerned with today. One of those is cis-1,2-dichloroethene, and the second is vinyl chloride. They're both carcinogens, and they're recognized as harmful to people when they drink the groundwater contaminated with those compounds.
So these are the same contaminants that have been known for some years. It's just a matter of the level you're finding.
They're different contaminants today, so that's part of the reason this issue has come about being now. So Ameren did some pilot testing and remediation in the substation, and through doing that, they have increased the concentrations of this cis-1,2 dichloroethylene, or DCE, and the vinyl chloride in groundwater.
How much water does each well hold?
So the drinking, or the pumping capacities of the wells vary. I'm gonna let Nick answer this question now.
The total 7 wells can generate 8.7 million gallons a day. One of our wells, City Well 9, produces the bulk of our water. It's about 3 million gallons a day. The other wells are roughly 1 million gallons a day. It fluctuates between each well. But the whole well field, if all the pumps are running all at the same time, it would be 8.7 million gallons a day.
If you are able to move the well field, you talked about trying to move it, do you have a plan to where it might go? Is it within the city limits or outside?
Yeah, we are currently working with an engineering firm to site a good location for the new well field. It would probably be closer towards the river, but it's still really being evaluated. We want to make sure that it's an area that's free of contamination, both now and in the future too.
I've got a question. So this is along the Mississippi. Your city's limits don't go up to the Mississippi, do they?
Yeah, City of St. Charles, we're fortunate to be in between both rivers,
Well,
right?
I know you're at, but isn't some of that unincorporated along the river itself?
Yes, as you get closer and closer towards the river, it would be unincorporated
Like
county.
the plants or the plants and unincorporated?
No, it's all within city limits.
Oh, okay, but it's,
So our city has continued to expand north
no, I understand.
over time, so we're
So it's
essentially
not-
almost to the river.
So is the plant on the river itself?
No, the plant is it's on a bluff, and it gets pumped from those wells, it gets pumped to the treatment plant.
So the bluff would be, I guess, south of the river, like by
Correct,
several hundred feet or something?
correct.
Just guessing, thank you.
Back to your capacity question, you were asking how much water does each well hold? And it's more of a fluid situation. They do eventually get played out, especially right now, since we have to overuse the ones we have. That kind of accelerates their lifestyle. But I'll let Nick speak to what's the long term for the typical well.
Yeah, there are methods that we can use to try and keep these wells operational with well cleaning and other activities. The mayor's right, if we continue to overpump the wells that we have and just continuously run them, we're going to have to replace them sooner. The benefit of having that well field and all those wells operating is that you're able to rotate those wells on and off and give them time to rest and also time to do maintenance on them. When you overpump the wells, it's not the best thing to do for the equipment or for the process. So they will be, their life cycle is threatened by having to pump them more often.
Just to clarify, so this has nothing to do with the other site that's in the city, the other EPA site that's been yet?
No. Right?
No one mentioned it, so I assume not.
So we believe the current contamination that's starting in wells 6 and 8 is attributed to Ameren. There is another source of contamination that is present in the well field from the former Findat and Cadmus properties. Yeah, all the data hasn't been collected to eliminate those two facilities as a potential source, but the initial data that we've collected does indicate that the source of the contamination within the city wells, like encroaching and threatening the city wells, is attributed to Ameren.
And a question, Mayor, you may have already said, but what is the current deadline to comment on this?
Right now, it's November 4. We've been told we'll get a 30-day extension, which I moves it to December 5, I believe. The outcry today is basically that the citizens shouldn't be burdened at the level they are or going to be if this situation continues. If it exacerbates itself even more, we're going to have to confront that with water rates or with some kind of revenue from the city that's not in abundant supply right now. The second element is, where do we go from there? If they don't clean up the contamination, what are next steps? So those are the two things we're very concerned about, and I want to make a very strong appeal again to the St. Charles citizens to reach out. Let EPA, let MDR, let Ameren, let everybody know that they need to step up and solve this problem.
Why now? I mean,
Well, because all of a sudden, the decree has been submitted and subject to approval by November 4.
Oh, I didn't, so when was it submitted?
How long ago?
It's a 30-day public comment period. We've been asking them to not publish that within the Federal Register and move that process forward since January, when this new contamination was discovered in the well field, but they moved forward anyways. That's the reason we're here today.
Well, I'm sorry, when did they issue the judgment?
So the original legal requirements were issued in a record of decision by the US EPA, it's their document, in June of 2021.
So when did the clock start ticking on
The clock's,
November 4th date?
it just started a few weeks ago,
That's
3 weeks ago. So what happened is, new contamination was discovered in January. We asked them to pause this process. They moved forward with it anyways, despite repeated requests to not issue the consent decree, memorializing Ameren's final requirements. And here we are today with a deadline fastly approaching.
Again, just to clarify, I think the mayor said that under the proposed consent decree, Ameren is really supposed to monitor.
There's a little bit of additional language in there with respect to some further cleanup of contaminants on their substation property, but nowhere in the consent decree right now is there any language with requirements requiring them to basically remove the contamination from groundwater or bring the city wells back up and relocate the well field.
Has there been a cost estimate on what they agreed to do?
I'm not aware of that cost estimate to date.
There's nowhere near 60 million.
I don't know. I can't speak to that.
And someone mentioned St. Peter's, by the way. Did they buy water from St. Charles?
St. Peter's buys water from St. Louis, same as we,
Oh,
city of
that's-
St. Louis, yeah.
So, well, how were they affected by that?
Well, that water that comes from St. Louis comes to a different distribution point, correct?
We share, from the Howard Bend plant, the St. Peter's and St. Charles, we share that pipeline across the river. So we both use that pump station.
So they're not really affected?
No, they are not affected by this
Bad.
contamination. It is, say, St. Charles.
Has the city, Mr. Mayor, considered any other legal challenges and any other legal avenues for the city?
Well, who wants that one? Michael? No? He says you.
There's always a possibility, right, for legal actions that could be taken from either party. So at this time, we're not pursuing that at this time. We are working with the agencies that are requiring these legal obligations. The EPA, Missouri Department of Natural Resources, we are working with trying to get them to create the legal responsibilities of the polluters, including Ameren, to resolve this situation.
But it sounds like you've been working with this since January, you mentioned that several times. How long are you going to wait?
Right now, we're trying to get through the consent decree period. So this is what they've enacted as their responsibilities. This is why we need your help. We want people to make comment that this information, there's new data out there that shows that it shouldn't be supportive of this remedy that they have currently outlined in the consent decree. And we need to be able to upgrade our treatment plant to remove those contaminants and relocate our well field.
This will probably make a few cringe, but St. Charles is a safe place to live, and our drinking water is going to stay the same. So whatever that takes, we're going to do. We're not going to stand by and allow things to happen to us without taking appropriate action to try to solve that on behalf of the citizens of the city of St. Charles. Any more? Okay, Beth Norval has fact sheets and handouts. As soon as this is over today, we're notifying all the citizens, all the water users in the city of St. Charles. They're receiving a document that's going in the mail today informing them of the situation and steps that they can take to MDNR and to EPA to express their opinions and their voices and try to get the support we need to move this in a better direction. You good?
Yep.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate you coming out to a blind conference.